Hello, it's our movie class, and today we will speak about the movie Exam. It's a pretty fresh, pretty new movie. 29, how we call it? 2009?
2009.
2009. And it's strange enough. It's strange enough. And it will be good for our English. We have some matters to talk about. So let's start from something. But let's try to retell the story in short. What happened in the movie? Jörgen, would you like to start?
Yeah. There are 8 candidates applying for a job, and they coming into a dark room with no windows, with a paper on the desk, and there is the invigilator tell them there is one question that should be answered, and leave the room, and they start to solve the question.
What's next, Gerard?
The invigilator tells them the rules, and at last they told them that is there any questions? Then the exam starts, and they have 80 minutes. So there is some, like a contest, between the attendees, and some of them want to do anything they can to win the contest, even they screw up the others. There is one guy, the French guy, who looks like crazy, and it's harassed by another contester. I don't know. I know. Can someone continue? Because I watched the movie some months ago. I didn't rewatch the movie now.
So they started to think. They started to try to figure it out what they need to write, what the questions they should answer, and they decided that it's not against the rules to be cooperative, to cooperate, and start to solve it together. It's not really clear for me why it's a contest, because I didn't hear that it's a contest. It's just was a task for everyone, but they decided. Please, teach me.
It's an exam, and the highest score gets the job. So it's kind of a contest. It's really an exam, but it's like a contest. There's only one winner.
I see. Yeah. So they they try to cooperate, and in same time not to cooperate. Try to figure out the question, and the same time to what's the word for that? To another consistency, to prevent another people to win.
Right.
And they went too far, in my opinion. They was so they started to torture each other. They start to mess with each other, bullying, and what else? And
killing,
until almost killing. And it's interesting that they have the guard from the corporation guarded. How we call it?
Guard.
Armed guard, right, with a gun, who should keep room in order, I would say, but he would not like to participate in this activity and let them torture together, torture each other, and break the possessions of the company. So they have a lot of hypotheses about what they have to do. Some of them very interesting. It's like let's break all the lamps in the room, and we'll see what will happen in the dark. And when they do that, something happens. Another kind of light, is on automatically. So some kind, but I don't understand, infrared or ultraviolet, some kind of that. And it's changed their paper. Probably paper is a clue for this exam. So, Gerard, anything else?
Yes, they need to find out what's the question. So that's the main problem. So they are trying to look with a paper with infrared lights or ultraviolet lights and water, liquids, everything. But they don't know the question. That's the problem. If they don't know the question, they can answer it.
Hello, Juan. Glad to see you after a long time. Have you watched this movie, what we're discussing? It's a movie exam.
Yes, I just finished the movie.
Okay. So you know the story, right?
Yeah, now I got the story about the film.
Okay. So, Teacher Lee, would you like to add something?
There's a trick that kids do. I forgot how it works, but I think you can use lemon juice or your pee to write on a piece of paper, and it's invisible. But if you heat it up or do something to it, then the writing appears. So that's what they thought. They thought the question was written in some kind of invisible ink. But if you hold it under IV light or UV light, then maybe the question will be visible. So that's what they were trying. They were trying different kinds of light to show the invisible ink question. But it didn't work. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Ivan
left
is
for 2
muted.
minutes. BRB, what does that mean, BRB?
Be right back.
Be right back.
We lost Ivan. I started to say, okay, be right back.
I'm sorry, I'm here, but I lost last few minutes. So we're still talking about the story, right?
Yeah, I was saying invisible ink. There's a kid's trick where you can write something with invisible ink, and then if you put lemon juice on it or pee on it or something, the writing appears. So a chemical reaction makes it visible. So they were trying light to do that.
So they decided that there is some tricks and some maybe chemical, maybe physical riddles or something like that. Maybe how we call it, psychological riddles. They thought that one lady was how we call it, a spy from corporation, and that she learned their behavior and decided who will win that. I don't know. I didn't understand that exactly. What makes them think so? Do you understand that, Gerard?
Maybe because she was a psychologist. I'm not sure.
Strange solution.
She seemed to know more about the company.
So she revealed something, she said something, and they decided that because she knows some extra facts, she may be a spy.
Right.
Well, interesting. And they started torch her, right? How we call it? Well, is it the right word? Or it's kind of and it makes me think, you know, it makes me think about role of this guard in the room, about role of this another participant. Well, if you in the room and you see then, you know, one guy do something stupid, I think you are in charge for that if you don't prevent that. So you kind of his teammates now, and I think that I would prevent this torturing. But why guard did not do that? Why other participants?
Remember when the exam started, he said, in this room, laws don't apply. Society rules don't apply. There's only 3 rules. The guard's job is to enforce the 3 rules. You can't talk to the interviewer. You can't talk to the guard. That was 1 rule. You can't mess up your paper. And you can't leave the room. So the guard's just there, so if you break a rule, he tells you to get out. That's his only purpose.
Yes, but it cannot be done in this, you know, in this way. You know, if you own a shop and you tell your employers, just shoot everyone who came in. Should he do that? I don't think so. So we have rules and we have society rules. So I think that guard was how say behave in a bad manner. Okay, so let's go to the questions. We have some questions on our Padlet. I shared a link in the chat. Yes, one woman talking to the window, teacher Liv wrote. She was ejected. I didn't understand that clearly. What's the rules she violated?
Okay, there's 3 rules, right? You can't talk to the exam proctor, the interviewer, and you can't talk to the guard. That's 1 rule. So the interviewer was behind the glass, one-way mirror. So when she shouted at the mirror, she was talking to the interviewer. And that broke rule number 1. You can't talk to him or the guard.
I see.
So when she shouted at the mirror, she was talking to the interviewer. That broke the rule. So the guard told her to get out.
Well, it's understandable, but it's controversial questions. What if she started to talk with a wall?
She wasn't looking at the wall. She was looking where the interrogator was.
Okay.
And then one woman wrote on her paper. Okay. The guard said, hey, you, out. You messed up your paper. So that's when they figured out, whoa, we got to be careful what we do. Can we talk to each other? And so they were kind of learning what not to do so they didn't accidentally get kicked out.
And they learning by bullying this French guy, right? And by how we call it, cheating this lady who fire up the paper, right? As I understand, she saw that someone's another paper or something like this, not her.
They tricked one woman into burning her own paper.
Burning, okay. It was cruel, I think. Because she worked for common prosperity. So the question number 1. Okay, please teach me.
I'll say when that happened, when he tricked her into losing, that's when everyone became cutthroat. Oh, so we're going to attack each other now. So that changed the rules of the game a little bit. Mm-hmm. Dog eat dog.
So question number 1 from our list. What kind of qualities the corporation was looking for in candidates? What do you think? 1, would you like to answer? One, would you like to answer this question?
I think finally the man the man who, I don't know how to call him. The man who told us first, he said that he found a need one people can I forgot. I mean can something related to detail.
Mm-hmm. And please, can you speak louder? Please put your mic closer. It's hard.
Wait a moment. Wait a moment.
Okay. So let's ask someone else. Jürgen, what do you think? What kind of qualities the compression? I will return to you in a second. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Jürgen, please, what kind of qualities they look for?
Positive quality. I don't know.
Okay, Gerard?
Intelligence, compassion, with someone with compassion, someone with empathy with the others, a hardworking person, and also some ambition as well. Yes.
Well, it's interesting because when I started to watch the movie, in the middle of the movie, I had opposite impression. You know, if you put a few people together and say only one will be a winner, it's not the best way to find, compassion. But it's a good way to find who is a stronger one. Teacher Lee, please.
The unique thing about this movie is that these 8 people are in this room. They know that one person can win a high-paying, very plush job with a famous corporation. But they don't know what qualities the company's looking for. All they know is they've got to answer one question. So at the beginning, they had no idea what kind of person the company wanted. At the end of the movie, when somebody won, then they said, this is what we're looking for, compassion. So at the beginning, nobody knew what they were looking for. They just a question, So at the end of the movie, they said compassion is the most important thing we're looking for. Why were they looking for compassion in the candidate? Do you remember?
Yes. Gerard, please.
Yes, because the company was a medical company. They invented some medicine that could heal people. It's almost a miraculous medicine. So the CEO of this company should be someone who should try to use it properly.
I don't know, but do you think that compassion is the right quality for that?
Basically, it's a case where, let's say you have 100 people dying from a fatal disease.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got 5 cures out of 100 people. They want someone who can make that decision. Which 5 of the 100 do I save? So they wanted a person that could make that decision not only with logic, but with compassion. Well, this guy's the smartest, but he's single. This one's the second smartest, but he's got 15 kids. Okay? So they wanted someone that was intelligent, but compassionate, to be fair to the limited people that could be allowed to live.
It's an interesting point. Let's stop on it for a second. Let's try to figure out what it's a version. It's a version of movie scenarios, right? For movie makers, that for fair distribution we need compassion. but I don't agree with it. In my opinion, if you compassion how to say it, compassion man or lady, you will give your medication to maybe to the first 5 people, because they're in bad condition. But I don't think that it's what we need. I think that we have to make more logical solution for that. We should wait out every single details, and we should. If you ask me what kind of people we should have for that, I would say it with no compassion at all. Man, can you speak? Do you understand the questions? We asking what kind of quality should have this man who will distribute the this magic bullet, this medication. You're muted. One?
Yes, I understand, and I listen to you. Do you
So
hear me?
what? Yes, we hear. What do you think? What kind of quality should have this this man in charge? Do you agree that it could be compassion, or it must be more logical, or something else?
Yeah, as I said, as loud I hear that from the man. He needs someone who can notice on the detail and intelligent and some other things I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think comparison is very important in this position. And also, he says something about, I mean, the big man. He says something about that the candidates must like support the founder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say this, but the candidates must have one character which can support the founder.
Sorry, I didn't understand last. Okay, Gerard, what is your answer?
They are not looking for a compassionate person. They're looking for a balanced person, a balance between logic and compassion. So something in the middle. So someone who's intelligent and has some compassion to do the right decision.
Right. So with this exam, they try to figure out who is the most balanced man. But why the thing that the most balanced man or woman should win this competition? Why he or she would be the last one? From my opinion, the most violent one will win it easily. Tishuli, what do you think?
Well, this is their first and only exam, so they didn't know how the people would react. So the reason the exam was so confusing or challenging, they wanted someone who could think. In other words, how do you test their intelligence? You watch them solve a problem. So they gave them a question with no answer, kind of, to see what they would do. Now, they didn't know they would start killing each other. They thought they might, work together and think and suggest and come up with a solution. They didn't know what would happen, I don't think. So the end result is not how they intended it to go, I don't think.
I see.
Luckily, a good person won instead of the jerk.
Gerard, please.
But beforehand, the participants have passed. They had previous requirements, so the company knew them. So the company might knew what they could do. They had one idea, I think. about what they could do. I think they expected that there was like a sort of fight, like the contest would be a hard contest, but because they had the medicine, they could solve the problem if someone killed another. So they thought that's what the insurance. So they didn't want that someone was killed because this contest.
And I did not get this from the movies that they have previous tests, but in the how we call it, in the summary on IMDb, on the many summaries, they wrote that after a long series of tests they get final exam. So probably they know something, company knows something about them. Probably they already familiar. Let's speak about the winner. Do you think that it's the best person of this room? Do you think that exam worked? Jürgen, who was the guy or the woman whom you sympathize during the exam?
Each of them had their advantages. So they had to work together, but I don't have any favorite.
I see. So no favorite. One, do you have a favorite from this room? Did you have when you watched?
I like the black man.
Black man, okay. We don't know names, right? They have how we call that? They have pseudonames,
nicknames.
They have nicknames.
Mm.
And I like the man who has nickname Black. Like he, I think he also intelligent enough, and he tolerant or something like this.
Okay. Well, in the beginning, I was sympathizing to this to this white guy, if I'm right, who was decisive one. Let's break the lights, let's do something, let's figure out what the hell is happening just now, immediately. It started good, but then he kind of crossed the line, and I lost any interest. It's too much. I think it's too much, and the rest. In the rest of the movie, I thought good about the black man, right? But he hesitated too much when he should to act with this gun, and he lost my sympathy again, because when the lady asked him to attack, make an order to this system to switch off the lights, he should attack immediately, and it will be a chance for them. But sometimes looks like he was not decisive enough. Gerard, what about you? Any favorites?
I empathize with the poor French man.
But why?
Yes, because he was weak, and he didn't speak English, and he was bullied, and he was asked to eat his own paper. Poor guy. But actually, they didn't know who he was. He was the most important person of this room.
But probably there is some better word for that. But I think that this guy was a trap for them. This guy behaved this way to draw out their behavior, because he was weak, and it was a provocation. I think. Teacherly, how would you call it?
I think they were trying to see who was a bigot, who was prejudiced against foreigners. They don't want someone that hates all non-Americans, or that hates everybody but French, because then you're going to save the French and no one else. So it was a discrimination kind of test, and they all picked on him, so they lose.
When you hunt to the ducks, you make some duck from rubber and put it into lake, and we have idiom about that. We say in Russian, we say it's a Ruberdak. It's mean like a trap for others. Do you have something like that? How would you say?
A decoy or a trap.
Trap. Sometimes, sometimes policemen play victims, play false dealers or something like that to try to figure out who is the real crime. Something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of that. Okay, another question. If they didn't mention the type of organization and its field, what would be your prediction about the company? One, can you answer? When you did not know what is the corporation, what they invented, what you thought about it?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, I posted the question in our chat. So when you did not know what is this corporation, what this corporation produce, what do you think about it? What kind of job they try to have to get?
Sorry, can I copy?
So what?
When you first saw the movie begin, what kind of company did you think it was? A toy company, a finance company? What kind of company did you think it was?
Sorry, I didn't have this thought. I just think that this is so good position, so that all the people want this, and after long competition, there were only 8 people who we chosen. I just think it's a good job, good position. I don't think about.
You didn't think about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I see. Jürgen, what was your expectation?
High technology, maybe security business or something like that.
High-tech company, or security, or maybe military, right? Something in the secret, we cannot say anything. Everything will be, what's the word for this? Classified. Something like this. Gerard, what was your expectation of this company?
I didn't expect anything special, but I thought that the participants should know something about the company, that the company was important, so they should have known what the company was working about. Otherwise, what's the point to applying for a job if you don't know, the feel of the company?
But don't you think it turns out like a surprise for them about this medicine?
Maybe they thought only there was a pharmaceutical company or something like this. I don't know what they knew beforehand.
I see. But for me, it's kind of strange. I wouldn't kill anyone for a good job in a pharmaceutical company. Vasant, we are speaking about our expectation. When we watched the movie and did not know the end, what kind of expectation you have about this corporation, what it produced, what it's about?
Yeah, about the company. So
yes. What kind of company it was?
Yes, I thought it was kind of a intelligent agency, right? Which is denied by the government, that does not exist. Like a national security agency, U.S. government denies that we do not have such agencies. So some kind of secret agency.
Right. I agree. It's more logical, some secret company, Men in Black and Mi-6, or how we call it, CIA, something like that. And that's why people try to get this job and don't afraid of, take a gun for that. But working for pharmaceutical company, I don't know. when I watched that, I did not think that it's about medical. It didn't think it's about pharmaceutical. But I was thinking it's about high tech or something like that. Some corporations now, like Google or Facebook, earn so much that they pay huge money to their employers, and that's why their human resources trying to find the best one. And this how we call this process, screening of the people to hire, it's weird now. When you go into to apply for a position in the Google, you should be prepared to anything. Something like this exam. they ask you ridiculous questions, like, how many barrels you can put in the bus, or something like that. They try to make a lot of stress with you. They try to watch on you, how would you react, and so on. So I don't think that it's a good thing to do. I don't think that it helps them, but they do. So that's why I expected this kind of super corporation like Google or something like that. Okay, another question about candidate. Let me copy. The dark candidate, the girl with spectacles, had some incisions on her side. Teacher Lee, am I reading it right? Incisions, I can say it. Incisions on her side. Oh.
Yeah, cuts or incisions on her thighs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did she get that? What is your guess? Do you remember this scene? She was kind of psychologist or something like that. They saw that she's a spy and tried to torture her to find out some new information. And the man get a piece of paper and said some, scaring speech like, "We will cut you with this paper." in the place when you don't expect, when you have a lot of sensors, how we call it. Pain, you will have a lot of pain, something like that. So any hypothesis why she had these injuries? The obvious one is, some games. Bad DSM, or how we call it. Vasant, please.
She already worked in that company, so probably she might have faced some harassment with a colleague or any superior officer. So that's why she wanted to move to the higher position, to CEO of the company, because the one candidate mentioned that if they are going to get a job, even it's a lower level job, it would be better than any other job from the rest of the world. So this company is a very good company. So there's no need for how do we call it? So okay, already working in the company is already, it's a pride. So I think this might be the reason.
So your point that he got this injury on previous job, right?
Yeah.
Give me 100 tries and I wouldn't suggest that. It seems too much to me. Teacher, please.
Okay, they were going to torture her, figuring that pain would make her talk. But then he saw the cuts on her thighs, okay? And then he realized that torture would not work because there's a kind of mental disorder called self-harm, where you deliberately hurt yourself and cause yourself pain. And one way people do this is with a knife. They cut themselves, usually where people can't see it, because they don't want people to know that they've got a problem. So most cutters, we call them cutters, they cut themselves on their thighs so nobody can see they have a problem. So when he saw the cuts, he knew that she had a mental problem and the way she coped, the way she dealt with her problems was she cut herself and caused herself pain. So him torturing her isn't going to work because she is used to pain. Okay?
She will just enjoy that, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Woo, do it some more.
Okay, my another try, because these lines, these injuries was too parallel and close to each other. I think it was just, a pet. So cats sometimes sit on the laps and they have claws, so it could be an option.
Do you remember the accountant?
Right?
Remember the accountant?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
He was autistic, right? What did I just do? He couldn't stand loud noise and he couldn't stand bright light. So what did he do? He punished himself by making himself see bright lights and by playing loud noise, and it drove him crazy. So to withstand the torture, he got that bar and caused pain on his leg. So he was using pain as a way to distract himself from his mental torment. So a cutter is the same way. They've got some kind of mental problems or worries, so they cut themselves to stop thinking about their problems. It's a distraction.
Well, better to have a cup of tea, in my opinion. or even smoke or something else.
Yoga, yoga.
Yoga, meditation, everything helps. So we run out of our question, and maybe it's time, maybe someone have a question about plot, about story, about something, about some personages. If no, we can speak about pictures, but that's not too vivid today.
I've got a question. At the end, we thought the woman had left the room,
Mm-hmm.
which breaks rule number 3. You can't leave the room. So when we thought she'd left the room, we figured the jerk, the bad guy's gonna win. So what do you think the company would have done if the bad guy had won? Would they have accepted him?
If you ask me, I don't think so. I don't think that it's carved in the stones that the last one win. They just need to see them in real action, and after that they can change rules or something else. They can say technically you win, but we don't need you because killing people is not what we expected.
Not what we're looking for.
Sans, please.
I think it doesn't matter who stands at the last. What matters is the answer for the question, I think. So even he stands at the last, they won't hire him until he answers the question.
Good point. Good point. Yes, he was the last because he bullying others. But what is your answer, man? Nothing. Okay, go on. Gerard, anything else?
And I think also if the jerk have answered the question but they didn't like him, they wouldn't have accepted him. If they see that he's a bad guy and they are not looking for a guy like this. So the rules, they make the rules. They want what they want. They are not going to accept someone they don't like.
Yes, they make a rule, so for example, but it doesn't mean that if you pass that, you get the job automatically.
But it was an excuse. Everything was an excuse to seek the qualities of the participants.
Vasants, question, comment?
Yes, actually, initially the invigilators said that a lot of people made to this level before you, so they have conducted many times such an exam. So they might have had such a one person, last standing person as well. but they could not get the answer from them. So that's what they are looking for, the answer.
Right. But good question, teacher. It's interesting to think.
Okay, so at the end, the woman said, she looked at the interrogator and said, the answer is no.
Mhm.
So what does that mean? How did she figure out the answer is no if she didn't know the question?
Jorgen, do you understand it?
Yeah, the invigilator asked them after explaining the rules. Is there any further questions?
Right. And surprisingly, it was the question. So they figured right that it was a trick, but they didn't find the gist of the trick, the root of the trick. Okay, let's practice on some vocabulary on these pictures. Let me present it. I'm just happy, that I have it worked my screen sharing back, so I can understand it. So not too much on the picture. So let's try to speak about story, maybe some lines, what we can remember looking on the pictures or something like that. Vasants, can you start? What we can see?
In this scene, we can see a piece of paper on the table and a pencil, and there's a writing on the paper. It says candidate number 3.
Mm-hmm. It was that paper, right? the all what they have. Good.
Okay. And I think the significance of that was there was no name. Everyone is anonymous. Everyone is equal starting.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone starts equal, no names. Okay.
Just candidate, that's all. Van, can you describe to us this picture? Please. You're muted. We don't hear you.
Yeah, I see. Here we can see the clock, one type clock, on blackboard. The founder. I can see 2 candidates and the wow. How do you call this man? The Larry. I'm sorry.
You mean man in the center, right?
Yeah.
Invigilator.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Invigilator.
In the movie they called him Invigilator.
Yeah, in Vigilator.
I don't know that word.
Yeah, I don't know this was.
That's why we are here.
Yeah, this the woman, that lady is the first lady who out of this room because she spoiled her paper.
Mm-hmm.
And can I ask one question? Why
Yes.
the white man he fold the paper of dark of black candidate I forgot. I mean when the white man folds the paper, yes, from her paper, but he didn't. Nobody let him out of the room because I think that fold the paper is one kind of spoiling the,
No, he didn't mark on the paper. There was no mark. Just folding it's okay.
No.
He folded the paper so she couldn't see it was her paper.
Right. So, and this blackboard was a window, right? Window and how we call it, semi-transparent, one-way transparent.
One-way mirror.
One-way mirror. Okay, one-way mirror, and the this guy invigilator invigilator watched them through this window, through this glass.
Right.
Jürgen, this picture is for you.
Yeah, he had taken a chair to break the glass. And a woman behind him watching him.
Right? Why he do this? He does this.
To see if any new different lights coming up.
So just to change circumstances, right? To see what will happen. It's a good idea, and it's pretty fancy room, you know. These slots, how we call it, slits for infrareds and for anything else.
But I think it's risky. There is no light at all.
Yeah.
That's why they vote, but it's surprisingly they vote yes. I don't know why. I would say no. Gerard, please.
I read that when people who fold their hands, it's like some protective gesture. Something like, you know, you need to feel protected from the environment.
I see.
Or disapproval sometimes.
So she doesn't happy about it. She isn't happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Like
it's logical.
Like, that's a stupid idea.
If I invite someone for conversation to her, I wouldn't expect that he or she will break my window or something like this. Jart, what is about this picture?
The paper and some glass, broken glass.
And it's a French guy, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think so. This glass must be from his glasses. Some shades, glasses.
I'm not sure. I think it's from lights, right?
Okay, from lights. Okay.
Yes, and he used it like how we call it, device to magnify the how to say it, magnifier. He tried to turn this glasses, this piece of glass, to watch something on the paper. So it's like that, but lens.
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass. Right. So not too much here. Okay. Another one, the black one, and fancy lights in the slits, in the slot, which automatically turns up after they broke the lights. And I wonder why creator of this room predicted that. Probably they have many teams before, and people start to break everything immediately.
Maybe, yeah. Well,
so just an experience. Well, and this guy doesn't look happy to me too. He kind of thinks about something like that. Okay, another one, Sans, please.
In this scene, we can see the white guy he was tied back, tied with a chair, and he has tie, and the socks are stuffed into his mouth, and his mouth was tied with the tie, and all other three candidates are watching him and trying to make him confess, I think.
I just try to ask, can we use gag? How is pronounced?
Gag.
Gag. So gag is a thing that you place into mouth, right? Okay, so he is suit and tie, right? What means suit? It's
coat and tie.
Well, and the lady still have the same pose. How we call it? Negating. negating the action. But it's, yes, I agree that action it's not too good. Okay, Van, what happens there in this scene? What is special about this gun?
With this gun, only the guard can use this because their fingerprint, so that no one can. When other people use this, it's useless. Only when the guard puts your finger at that place, so the gun active. And I think there's one detail. No, sorry, it's mistake. Yeah, that's all.
So it's a smart weapon. It's obey only to his owner. It's programmed to that, and it's a good way so that no one, if someone get your gun, you will be shot by your own gun. It's a good idea. But I don't know if that exists in real life.
I don't think so.
In James Bond films.
It looks too complicated, you know. When you have to use a gun, it's probably less time, more stress, and so on. And if it will depend on high-tech technologies like a finger scanner, I wouldn't like to have such a gun.
If you've seen the movie Judge Dredd, they were a police force, and their guns were DNA encoded to your hand. If anyone else tried to shoot your gun, it would blow up and kill them.
Yes, another smart idea. Okay. Jürgen, what happens here on this picture?
He forces the guard to go with him and for to aim at someone. I don't remember who.
It was a lady, but I don't know her name.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about this scene. What if this guy, White, will kill someone, lady or someone else, with this way, you know, by pressing on the finger of guard? Would you call this guard as crime or something like this? Жart?
But they don't know which sort of bullets the gun is charged, you know. They don't know that, so I suppose that the company must have foreseen that, you know, that someone, if there is a weapon, someone can try to do something with it. Blank bullets or blank bullets.
Vasant, please.
But the invigilator clearly said that this room has their own rules, right? It was controlled by their rules only, so they cannot be under any other jurisdiction, right?
Do you think it's possible? Can I say that my room is now on by American jurisdiction?
But if you are such a big company who is going to provide to save a lot of life, then it is possible, because you can even threat many countries, superpower countries, with your medicine, because you have the power, so you can threat the big country too.
Well, I would not argue that it's not possible, but I think it's not legal still.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, and I would call this guard as a murderer or co-murderer or something like that. It surprised me why he allows that. Being, you know, if it was my gun and I was a guard, I would never allow that to shoot someone with my hand because I feel that I am a murderer.
There's only 3 rules. It doesn't say you can't shoot someone with the guard's gun. He's cooperating.
Okay, so nice movie, very surprising end, I would say. And what about English? We did not say about that. Do you understand everything? Have you? Did you have to use subtitles? Do you find many new words, something, expressions? Hans?
Yes, I used subtitles, but it was not too much hard to understand. Especially the white guy's accent was a little fast and too much native, so I needed that part only. But mostly it's understandable.
Yes, I would say that English was simple, you know, just a conversation English, not too much. But sometimes I have to rewind back to listen again some phrase. But I try to do with subtitles, and I think I understand something. It's at least I see that you understand almost the same about this movie. And thank you very much for this class. Bye. Bye, Gerard.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And see you again. Your suggestions about movies is always welcome. But I think the next one will be something about Star Trek. You know, it's a time.
Yeah.
we cannot postpone this anymore. So we have to. Teacher Lee will write us which episode is the best. Okay, 4. So Star Trek 4 is the next movie. Bye bye.